Taylor. I'm one of the physiotherapists here at Fit for Life Physiotherapy, and today I'm going to be going over some hip hinge movements. These are really important for activating our hamstring and glutes and really our posterior chain, which is really important in movements of our activities of daily living, as well as being important in things like sport and recreation. This movement is also important to remember for those that have osteoporosis and we're trying to kind of limit that spine flexion. This helps to keep the spine in a neutral position. So first we'll go over kind of the form of a hip hinge movement. So I'm just going to turn to the side. So for this movement, what we're going to want to focus on is really moving the hips. So I can demonstrate that. So we're going to kind of hinge forward, bending the knees and keeping spine neutral and flat and coming back up. So some things that we're trying to avoid is that spinal flexion or coming down like this, or your traditional squat. So you're really trying to focus on just moving at the hips. One way that I like to incorporate this into someone's kind of exercise routine when they're first starting out is practicing this movement against the wall. So what I like to do is kind of take a couple steps out from the wall, and then to really get that hip hinge movement, you're going to want to bring hips and glutes back towards the wall until you kind of feel yourself touching the wall. And so once you get comfortable with that movement, you can start introducing different exercises that incorporate the hip hinge, such as an RDL. So the way that we can set that up, if you're ready and comfortable with that movement, we can start to add some load to that. So that will kind of look like is you'll bring weights in front of you, and then you're going to hinge at the hips and bring weights down and then come back up, and you'll want to keep those weights closer to your shins. And then once you're starting to feel comfortable with that, or if you kind of already have experience with hip hinge movements in your typical exercise routines, we can progress this to a single leg RDL. So what I like to do for that is I will place the weight or load in kind of my opposite hand to the leg I'm going to be standing on. I just find this gives me a little bit of counterbalance. So with that, I'm going to bring right foot up, and then again practicing that hinge. And this also challenges your balance, so if that's something you're trying to work on, this movement will also help you reach that goal too. So that's kind of some of the hip hinge movements that you can get started with in your regular exercise. And if you have any other questions about these movements and how they might help you in your day-to-day life, please feel free to give the clinic a call and we'd be happy to help you out.